Hello, welcome to Off Grid Thoughts channel. Well, this is a Mansfield 18 volt cordless drill. This actually had an 18 volt nickel cadmium battery pack, which was a little bit surprising to me because, you know, when they came out with the 18 volt drills, unless it was really a Chinese knockoff, then, they usually had nickel metal hydride. But, I do remember at one of the local tool stores, I do remember a long time ago seeing a nickel cadmium version. And this I got at a thrift store a few years ago for $2.50. They were having a 70% off sale, and this one, it had a nickel, cadmium battery pack, NiCad, which was a little bit surprising, like I said. So what I did was I got a lithium ion battery conversion. So, the battery would just slide onto the bottom of this. But this is a Makita type, and this happened to have that same type of a thing. I really don't know about the polarity yet, so I have to wait till my battery comes and kind of test that out before I try to use it on the drill. But this will fit either way because it's not a super tight fit as far as this slot goes, but the connection tabs fit perfectly either way. So I'll just have to test it and see what's gonna be correct for the drill. And if you're ever doing anything custom, I always recommend having a multimeter so you can test your voltage. You want to be careful too with lithium ion batteries. You don't want to do any reverse polarity or shorting out, because lithium ion batteries, with too much heat or short circuiting or anything like that, you could cause a fire. So always use caution with stuff like that. But I kind of tend to think that because at least this connection is just really similar to a Makita, due to the fact this has a slot on the side and this has a slot here right in there, I'm pretty sure that the polarity is going to match that. But yeah, but this video too, it's more of a thing of what can I do to charge, like to use a DC charger from like a 12 volt automotive, or a solar battery that's a LiPo 4 that's a 12 volt battery. What can I do to charge this battery in that situation? Even though I have inverters, if I want to do it the DC way, how can I do that? Well, I did a little bit of research, and the 18 volt Makita type batteries, they're vast majority of them are 10 cells, and what they do is they put 5 of the cells in series, and they do that twice, so they have 5 and 5 in series. Then they connect those two together in parallel, and so basically it's like having a 5-cell battery, the way it's wired. So a few years ago, it was a little bit popular to take a tool battery and put it on a jump starting dock that has battery clamps, and because the 18 volt or 20 volt batteries would start some of the small 4-cylinder automotive, vehicles, small cars usually, things like that. Jump start a dead battery if your cold cranking amp requirement wasn't too high. And so I ordered one of those. That's a Makita type. And I'm going to remove the battery clamps from it and put a female Dean's T-plug connector on it so I can plug it into this hobby charger. So, that's what I'm going to do with that when that comes. But kind of getting onto this, how you would set that up is you'd set it to 5-cell or 5S. And then as far as the amps, this will go up to 6 amps. I'm probably going to charge my battery at about, I'll set it to 4 amps. I don't really like charging smaller batteries at high amperages. If I'm charging like a 7.2 volt nickel metal hydride, I'll charge it at 3 amps maximum. And because when you start charging more than 3 amps on those, you kind of create some excessive heat. And then in this case, because it's it'll be an 18 volt battery, and it's going to be like, I believe it was a 6 amp hour battery that I ordered. So I'll charge it at 4 amps, but I'm not going to be charging it at 6 amps or anything like that. And this is 2 to 20 volts, so that's well within the 18 volts. And again, set it to 5-cell or 5S. But there are mobile DC chargers for the Makita type batteries. I saw kind of a no-name brand mobile charger. It was a 2 amp charger, for DC. It had a cigarette lighter plug on it. I really haven't searched very much for the DC chargers, but that charger, it was 2 amps. The AC chargers, if you get a slow charger, they're like 1.8 amps, so pretty comparable on that. Now this particular hobby charger, you can plug it in, to an AC outlet, or with the cable in that port, you can plug that in to a 12 volt, automotive battery, or a 12 volt solar LiPo 4 battery, and this unit will charge it as well. But that's kind of the reason for this video is, to have some options to be able to charge, your tool batteries off grid. And, even if you don't use an inverter, you can have a couple different ways to do it. Not only doing it like this, but, just have a DC type charger. So that's kind of what I want to talk about in this video, and this is part 1. So with this being part 1, I'm gonna have up another video. It's gonna be part 2 after I get my jump starter dock, and so I'll be able to hook it up to this. And also, when I get my other DC charger for this, just so I have, some different ways to be able to charge up the battery for this. But you know, you're always going to spend money on a tool no matter what. But I kind of started out with this one just paying $2.50. So whatever else I, you know, spent on this, you know, you could have spent the same money or something probably buying a new tool, but um, you know, might not have you know, the flexibility to charge it from a DC charger with the type of connection, maybe on a newer drill, because like this type is an old established you know, type of connection. The batteries have been around for, you know, a number of years. They're out there. They're not, you know, they're not like, well, I'm buying a brand new drill and it's proprietary and it's different, and how am I going to get a dock station for that? You know, with this is just kind of one known type. I'm sure you could do this with different brands, you know, like some of the older DeWalt or you know, various brands as well. Um, but this is just kind of, this had the Makita type connection, so I kind of went with that. Um, but you can also get the battery brand adapters if you already had some of the batteries and adapt it to a different brand of battery. So, you know, this was kind of you know, a project that I thought about doing, and it was just a matter of figuring it out. Um, but like I said, it might not be as conducive to do something newer that has a different connection system. You can always do something custom, but this was a little bit easier. So just thought I'd share this with everybody. And like I said, part 2 is going to be coming up pretty soon. Until the next video, take care out there. Don't give up on your off-grid dreams. Have a good one.